Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. So Liverpool confirmed at last the signing of Xherdan Shaqiri last night from Stoke. The player has now officially joined on what is originally a £13 million fee. Now the various reports say that I think there's another £750,000 in add-ons in there that Stoke expect to receive, and that's essentially making up the full release clause there. So, you know, £13.75 million. I think that's a pretty fair deal for a player of Shaqiri's standards. I think Liverpool might actually potentially have a bargain on our hands. Remains to be seen depending on what he does over the season. But yeah, he's joined us on a pretty decent fee. He will take the number 23 shirt, and Jurgen Klopp has described the deal as, first of all, a no-brainer, which again, you know, given the fee and his availability, I think fair enough. And also, more importantly for me, said that he was a long-term admirer of the player. Now, this would make sense given that, you know, I think Klopp, while he was at Dortmund, he will have been looking at the Swiss League. It's probably quite a good place to pick out talent that will be available on the cheap and won't necessarily have been spotted by as many clubs. It's basically what Liverpool tried to do with Mo Salah as well, and what Bayern Munich ended up doing with Xherdan Shaqiri in the end. And obviously, while he was at Bayern Munich, he will have been seen plenty of times by Jurgen Klopp while he was a manager in the Bundesliga. And I think that's important because I think a lot of people worried that we pulled the trigger a little bit early on this transfer, and it was kind of a knee-jerk reaction to the release clause and the availability of the player, and the fact that we all know that he really did want to move to Liverpool. It's essentially his dream club right now and the best move that was available to him at the time. So I think a few people were worried that we kind of went on that rather than, you know, the actual quality of the player. So the fact that we know Jurgen Klopp likes Xherdan Shaqiri and, most importantly, believes he can get the best out of Xherdan Shaqiri should fill anyone that's a little bit worried about this transfer with a lot more optimism. Now, I am going to do a longer video on the Shaqiri transfer, essentially assessing whether or not I think, and a few other people think, he's actually good enough to play for Liverpool. I'll be giving my own thoughts on the player. I'll hopefully be getting a Stoke fan in as well to talk about his 3 years at the club and whether or not he believes that Shaqiri will be able to make the step up to Liverpool. And then, most importantly, I want to hear you guys' views. So do let me know down in the comments below whether you think this is a good signing, whether you're excited to see Shaqiri, or whether you think it's a terrible move from Liverpool, and I will essentially tell you whether I agree or disagree with it and why that is the case on both fronts. So do get down in those comments below and tell me what you think about the signing of Xherdan Shaqiri. And yeah, I think it's pretty decent, and if you are hugely worried, if you're terrified that this is going to be, you know, the last bit of business Liverpool do and will be relying on Shaqiri far too much next season, in Chris Bascom's, I think it was Telegraph report, which basically reported all the details around the signing, he also said that Jurgen Klopp is still looking for a number 10 and a goalie. So, you know, that essentially means Fekir and a goalie, I think. It doesn't seem like Liverpool have really paid any interest in any other number 10s in the world apart from Nabil Fekir. So hopefully that means that the club are still confident at getting that deal revived. And I think if we do bring in Fekir, he probably sits just a tiny bit or quite a lot further ahead in the pecking order than Xherdan Shaqiri. I think Fekir is the one who will be regularly rotated with the front three, and then Shaqiri's the one who comes in, you know, if we're winning 3-0 in the league at home and we just want to rest some of the lads, or we got a League Cup game where we need to rest some of the big players because the fixture list is getting congested or anything like that. So I think that's a positive thing. I think if Shaqiri was, you know, the number one priority back up forward, I'd be a little bit worried. But should we bring in someone like Fekir or just any old number 10, I think we'll be a lot more excited about this transfer. Now, as for when Shaqiri's actually going to link up with the squad, it's not really been made entirely clear just yet. I think it's either going to be on the US tour or the training camp in France after the US tour. That's when Firmino is linking up with the squad. Mane, Salah and Grujic will be linking up for the US tour. I had a look at the dates because normally Jurgen Klopp likes to give his players 3 weeks rest after the World Cup. Now, Shaqiri went out of the World Cup on the exact 3rd of July. Now, if you add an extra 3 weeks, that comes to the 24th of July, which is around about halfway through our US tour. We've already played one game on the 22nd, but we've got another couple to come on the 26th and the 28th. So whether Jurgen Klopp wants to get Shaqiri in as soon as possible, or whether he thinks there's no point flying him out to the US when we're only going to be there for a few days, remains to be seen. I think we would like to see a pretty good big pre-season with Shaqiri, because a lot of people, their main doubts are about his physique and are about his ability to cope with the Jurgen Klopp style of play. So I think it's important that he gets a very tough, strong pre-season in there to build himself up to speed so that he can actually cope with the demands of Jurgen Klopp's gegenpressing system. So I'd quite like to see him come in for the US tour. It would also mean that we'd be seeing him earlier than if he joined in at the France camp, but I think it's probably more likely he joins up with Firmino in that 4-day training camp in France. So yeah, a little bit more Alisson news for you guys as well. It was reported in Lazio last night that Roma are apparently willing to lower their asking price for the player. He was originally on the market for 80 million euros. That was the kind of price tag that Roma stuck on him. They're now considering dropping that now down to 70 million euros, which would suit Liverpool a lot better. I mean, the reports suggest that we're mostly interested in paying somewhere between 60 and 65 million euros. I think that extra 5 million jump wouldn't be too big for Liverpool. I think we'd be open to doing that, and Liverpool and Chelsea are reportedly the two clubs that are interested in him at the moment. I think the main problem for me is that I think Liverpool have cooled their interest a little bit in the player since he basically said that, you know, he doesn't fancy us and he fancies Real Madrid more. And I think what Liverpool want is they want players who are like a kid in a sweet shop once they join. I mean, you saw it with Xherdan Shaqiri last night. The pictures of him walking around Melwood, he looks like he is on cloud 9 to have arrived at the club. And I mean, we've had that with Keita as well. I think we've kind of had that with Fabinho as well. And I feel like if Alisson comes to Liverpool and he's still got Real Madrid in the back of his mind and he might even just see us as a stepping stone to getting that bigger move, that's not what Jurgen Klopp wants, because the lad is 25 years old. If we bring him in, we want him to be our goalkeeper for the next 10 years or something like that, especially when you're paying a price like 70 million euros. That is a big investment to make in a player, even if maybe you're making a profit on it when you sell him to Real Madrid a year later. So I'm not entirely sure that Liverpool will revive interest in Alisson, although obviously, as Bascom said, they are interested in a goalkeeper. So if no one better becomes available, if there's no other alternatives that the club think, actually, I'd rather have him as well, then maybe, who knows, Alisson could be our goalie by the end of the window. I think it also does depend on what the other clubs do. It feels like Real Madrid have cooled their interest now, because I think they're actually more interested in Thibaut Courtois of Chelsea, which to me makes sense. I'd actually rather have Courtois than Alisson, but you know, here we are. Courtois wants Real Madrid and it looks like he's actually going to get that move. And I think Chelsea, it all depends on what happens with their new manager. I think it's Maurizio Sarri, because you know, we don't know whether he wants Alisson or whether he doesn't want Alisson. We also don't know how much of a say he'll have on the matter, because it is Chelsea after all. He might actually have no input in signings whatsoever, with Roman Abramovich still ruling the roost over there. So it's one that could develop very quickly. Like I said, it depends on what the other clubs do, but I think Liverpool will still be a little bit miffed that they feel like they're at a lower end of the pecking order. So, you know, if it gets later on in the window and like I said, no other goalie targets become available, I think it is highly possible, should that fee stay at 70 million euros or even drop a little bit, should Liverpool, you know, put some feelers out and say, maybe it's 65, maybe it's 65, we'll listen, then we could see this transfer progress. However, I think the Fekir one is the priority for now, and the Alisson one is probably one that will actually occur even closer to deadline day. So fingers crossed we can get that one over the line. I'm sorry that this Shaqiri announcement was a little bit late. It's mainly because I was out last night and I considered pre-recording it and then putting it out at 9, and then everyone was saying, oh, it will get done at the weekend, so I thought, never mind. And then we go and announce the signing at 9 PM on a Friday, which is a little bit annoying, but you know, new player, I'm never going to complain, and you've now got your announcement video, and obviously there will be that upcoming video on Xherdan Shaqiri, so stay tuned for that. Let me know your opinions on the player in the comments below. Stay tuned for the post-Bury match reaction that will be out later today as well. Liverpool obviously in action at 3 o'clock against Bury in their third pre-season friendly, so we're all excited for that. Until then, thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here, check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well, and I'll see you soon for the post-Bury match reaction. Bye for now.